Next on CBS 8 News, live at 6.
A base jumper falls to his death from this building, but people we talked to today say this isn't the first time someone has tried that.
The State Department alleges that Russian troops have committed war crimes in Ukraine. President Biden's trip to meet with EU and NATO leaders about the war.
Suffering from allergies, new research suggests that the intense season may not get any better due to climate change.
And take a view of Vista with the city's new Walk While You Listen podcast.
CBS 8 News live at 6 starts right now.
We begin tonight with breaking news from the border, where at least one person fell from the border wall just before 4:30 this afternoon. It happened in Otay Mesa near Cactus Road and Calle de Linea.
Rescue crews responded, and the person was put on a stretcher and airlifted to a hospital. We don't know at this point if there was anyone else with that person at the time or what led to the fall. Stay with us on air and online for updates on this breaking story.
A man fell more than 200 feet to his death last night while attempting an extreme sport jump, and his 16-year-old daughter watched it happen. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. It's called base jumping. Thrill seekers jump from buildings and cliffs to hone their skills. And as CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes reports, base jumping is not only incredibly dangerous, it's illegal.
This is still an ongoing investigation, but I'm here at the Palisades apartment in Westfield, where police say the base jumper fell to his death wearing his helmet and a parachute.
The call came in Tuesday night around 10:30, and police believe the man jumped from the rooftop of the Palisades apartments.
Danger is associated with height, when actually that's a big misconception. The lower something is, the much more dangerous it is.
Beautiful.
Johnny DeJulius is an avid base jumper. He says they jump at night because their extreme sport is against the law, but for them, it requires a lot of skill.
A skydive, you have 2 parachutes. A base jump, you don't have time for 2 parachutes, unfortunately. So when you jump off an object and you do, God forbid, have a malfunction, you only have 1 parachute to work with.
But when Johnny heard about the deadly jump Tuesday night from the Palisades apartments,
that's either somebody that has been jumping for a long time with a lot of skill, or, gosh, somebody that didn't know what they were doing.
Police haven't identified the victim yet, only telling us it was a 48-year-old man and that his daughter was there and saw the event unfold. Johnny says base jumpers know the risks.
It is selfish. You know, you got a family, you got parents, you got kids, you got brothers and sisters, and you're choosing to put them, you know, in a pretty vulnerable place, worrying about you.
The 16-year-old daughter was there and unfortunately had to witness the tragic event. No question that that's something that she's never going to forget for the rest of her life.
Captain Scott Wall with San Diego Police says they've seen these type of stunts before.
Sometimes you'll see them out on the cliffs. Sometimes they'll be off of other buildings or bridges here in San Diego. And the police department isn't always notified when they're a successful jump. Obviously, we're called when things don't go as planned.
Residents who didn't want to go on camera tell us this isn't the first time their building has been used for base jumpers. This is just the first time the jump was not successful, and they don't want to see this happen again.
I've heard of those kind of stunts, but from buildings in downtown where are way higher. Chances are still risky, but not as bad as this one. This one, you don't even have time for the parachute or anything that he might have been with to open.
Kirsten Holmes, CBS 8.
29. That is the number of days in a row that gas prices have gone up across San Diego County. Tonight, the national average for a gallon of gas is $4.24. Here in the San Diego, we're paying $5.97 after prices went up again.
That is 16 cents more than what we were paying just last week, when the average for a gallon across the county was $5.81. And that is more than $2 than a gallon that we were paying at this time last year, when the average cost of gas was just $3.92. Doesn't that look like a bargain?
Yeah.
Well, over the last 29 days, the average price of a gallon of gas has gone up $1.22 here in San Diego.
Yeah, it's not just San Diego. Of course, gas prices are up statewide and not slowing down. Now Sacramento wants to put money back into your pocket to offset the cost. Governor Gavin Newsom announced his plan today.
This plan would give everyone with a registered vehicle $400 or up to $800 if you own 2 or more vehicles. As CBS 8 political reporter Morgan Reiner explains, the plan would cost the state $11 billion and would dip into California's multi-billion-dollar surplus.
Hundreds of millions of dollars will go towards suspending part of the gas tax that you pay at the pump. Many Democrats have said they don't support all of that because it takes away money from infrastructure projects. But this is the third proposal we've seen from Democrats in the last few weeks.
Here is the breakdown of the $11 billion rebate proposal. $400 direct payment per registered vehicle, $750 million in grants to public transit agencies to provide free rides for 3 months, $600 million to pause part of the sales tax for a year, and $523 million to pause that increase in the gas tax we're supposed to see come this summer.
That direct relief will address the issue that we all are struggling to address, and that's the issue of gas prices.
This marks the third proposal on rebates from Democrats. Pro Tem Tony Atkins and Speaker Anthony Rendon want to provide $200 per California taxpayer who earns up to a certain amount. Democratic caucus members want $400 for all California filers, regardless of income.
I think we've seen so many different proposals because first of all, there's a recognition that something has to be done. The only question was, how do we go about getting it?
These three, in addition to the Republican proposal to suspend the 51.1-cent gas tax for up to 6 months immediately. Last week, many Democratic lawmakers said they did not support that idea.
You have to remember that this is an election year, and each lawmaker who is running for election has to think for himself or herself, what's the best proposal to go forward with that will help me in my district.
Newsom's proposal applies to all registered vehicles, even electric cars.
There are a lot of people feeling that people who drive the electric vehicles are more affluent, so I think that will be an ongoing discussion.
Newsom's proposal still has to go through the legislature, so there will be plenty of discussions to come. But if it is approved, you could see that money in the form of a debit card as soon as July.
Thanks, Morgan. And remember, to get the latest local gas prices on your phone, you can text the word gas to 858-571-8888 for a link to an interactive map that shows gas prices all across the county.
A man accused of shooting and killing a woman while driving on the 94 was in court today.
47-year-old Thomas Evans pleaded not guilty to murder. Evans was arrested at his home in La Mesa Saturday. He's accused of shooting 27-year-old Sandra Lena Williams while she was driving on State Route 94 in Spring Valley earlier this month. She died in the hospital days later after being taken off life support.
A violent wreck in North County killed one person and left several others with serious injuries this morning. It happened just before 3 a.m. in the northbound lanes of Interstate 5 near La Costa Avenue. Police say a Honda Civic driven by 20-year-old Isidro Martinez slammed into a Prius before going off the freeway and overturning on an embankment. One passenger was thrown from the car and died at the scene. Investigators say 3 other passengers in the Civic suffered serious injuries. The driver was hospitalized with life-threatening injuries and faces charges of DUI causing death. The 2 people inside the Prius suffered minor injuries. Officers closed all lanes of the 5 until about 8 this morning while they investigated.
If your allergies feel like they've been getting worse lately, researchers say climate change may be to blame.
A new study says rising temperatures over the years will make allergy seasons longer and insufferable. CBS 8's Heather Hope spoke to a local allergy specialist about ways to alleviate severe symptoms.
Well, it's warmer than usual here at Balboa Park. Temperatures are already in the high 80s in March, and this heat is only intensifying allergy symptoms for many San Diegans. And new research suggests that due to climate change, already bad allergy seasons are going to get even worse.
The springtime has made it a lot worse, a lot more sneezing, everything like that.
No, but actually when I was young, I didn't have any kind of allergy. And just now when I'm growing, I'm having more and more allergies.
Allergy sufferers visiting Balboa Park say their symptoms have gotten progressively worse in recent years.
I always start with the very itchy nose and throat, and then it comes just to normal running nose and to a little cough.
UC San Diego allergist and professor Dr. Christine James says San Diego's weather has a huge impact on allergy symptoms.
Especially windy, dry days can be a problem because that wind blows that pollen around.
New research from the University of Michigan says climate change is making allergy season even worse. Scientists studied future change in pollen season start and end date and found rising temperatures and increasing carbon dioxide levels could increase the annual amount of pollen emitted each year up to 200%.
With those rising temperatures, you have a lengthening of your allergy season, so your plants have more time to reproduce and emit that pollen.
More CO2 will drive trees, grass, and weeds to produce larger amounts of pollen. By the end of the century, researchers predict pollen emissions could begin 40 days earlier in the spring than we saw from 1995 to 2014. Those with bad allergies could see pollen season last an additional 19 days.
I don't feel that medicine helps a lot, but I still keep taking it because I don't have any other choice.
Some are saying allergy medicines like Allertec to nasal sprays like Afrin are no longer effective for severe symptoms.
For the allergies, it definitely helps a little bit, but it still is there, yeah.
If we don't address climate change, if we don't address these rising carbon dioxide levels, then, these types of medical problems like allergies are just going to get progressively worse.
Dr. James says on high pollen days, avoid outdoors, keep your windows closed, and if you are going to be outside, go later in the day and take off your outdoor clothes and shower to rinse off that pollen. For severe symptoms, see an allergist to step up your medication or consider allergy shots. Heather Hope, CBS 8.
About it making my eyes water. My eyes are actually a little dry, and our weather's certainly not doing allergies any favors.
Yeah, I knew better. I went inside to the gym today. No running outside. Meteorologist Sean Stiles is in early with a look at your microclimate forecast, the unfriendly allergy one.
Yeah, it is. Definitely some very, very warm weather. Looking at record-breaking temperatures in Oceanside and Vista today. As far as the temperatures are concerned, we're going to start to see them cool down. Oceanside 84, 89 in Vista, and up in Big Bear Lake, they're still skiing and snowboarding up there, but it was 69 degrees. Can you imagine riding down the mountain on a snowboard or some skis and it's being 69? It's cooled off a little bit. We're in the 80s in places like Poway, El Cajon, and Escondido, 78 in Ramona. The good news is we're starting to trend downward ever so slightly as we get towards the weekend, very close to our average of 67, 71, but still very warm tomorrow along the coast and inland. It's not until we get to the weekend, but good news. We'll have some rain that will wash that pollen out of the air. I'll talk to you about that in just a bit.